This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Kings have now lost 2 in a row after losing to the Thunder last night at Golden One Center, 132-113. Buddy Hield had a career-high 37 points. De'Aaron Fox had 28 with 12 assists. The problem is the rest of the Kings only combined for 48 points. Sacramento's off tonight. They will welcome in the Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow. The NBA also announced today that the Kings and Pacers will become the first NBA teams to play games in India. The teams will play a pair of preseason contests in Mumbai on October 4th and 5th, 2019 at the NSCI Dome, the famed NSCI Dome. And the games will be the first ever played in the country by a North American sports league. And ESPN's reporting that Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen will play Sunday against the Ravens. Allen missed most of LA's last game with a hip injury, but he was back in practice yesterday. And Patriots wide receiver Josh Gordon announced on social media that he will be stepping away from the Patriots to focus on his mental health. It's 7:01. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement, and I went too long.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Don't worry, Peak Financial. I'll get your read in after this.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning.
You're going to talk. Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Sam Ament coming up at 8:05. Want to thank everybody, too. The last 2 days, we have been collecting school supplies along with our good friends over at the Sacramento Republic, part of the continuation of the Do One Thing Challenge. School supplies for the kids up in Butte County, and I know you guys have heard me talking about it really all week long, and forgive me, please. I know you want sports and all that, but I'm so proud of the community, and I'm so very, as many of you, concerned with everybody up there in Butte County, the cleanup and trying to get back into the normal speed of things, especially around the holidays. And as I mentioned, you got a lot of kids going back to school, literally going to school in trailers, makeshift trailers, stuff like that, because, well, their school's burnt down. And we had so many people come by. We have a warehouse full of backpacks and different school supplies. And there was one gentleman that came by yesterday afternoon, and he sent me pictures of his vehicle just loaded up. And you may have seen him when I retweeted it, with over $2,000 worth of school supplies that he dropped off. We have thousands of dollars of gift cards that we will be taking up there. Some of them will be dropping off directly to the Board of Education. Others we'll be going to a Boys and Girls Club today, as I understand it, and handing them out over there. It is humbling. It is a blessing to be able to be in a position to where we can help, because but for the grace of whomever you believe in, you may be in that position someday. And I just want to say thank you, and I'm so very proud of this community, everybody that has pitched in and helped in one way or the other. Thank you. And today, this afternoon, we'll be meeting up with our friends over at the Republic and taking a caravan up to Butte County to personally make those deliveries and just kind of smile, shake hands, hug, and just show that they're not alone. And even though they're not in the Sacramento city proper, that we are all a extended family. All right, we have a lot to get to here. Kyle, let me, by the way, point out Kyle real quick as he raises his hand, which he doesn't need to do to talk. The floor is yours. Yes, sir.
It's 7:04. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money.
Money.
Kyle
was fantastic. Last night was extremely stressful watching the game. I should have just logged off Twitter. I ended up yelling at a bunch of people again and calling people names and just being a total a-hole to a lot of people that were really making me angry, and I do feel guilty about that, but hey, what do you want? I got to bed where I usually do. I'll get into bed, I'll grab my laptop, I'll open it up, and start writing the show around 10 o'clock. And I open up the laptop, and Kyle's already got the show all written out. And imagine it was like the hidden present behind the tree when you're a kid after you open the presents that your parents point out in the afternoon. It was a pleasant surprise. Kyle worked so very, very hard off the show, holding down multiple jobs. I say that only to underscore why it's not his fault that he hasn't really been in the rundown over the last few months, because it's football season. So it was certainly unexpected. Kyle called the ball today on a lot of our topics, and one of them, Kyle, I'll ask you to kind of lead us into this. Audio of LeBron James we're going to play right now. Why are we playing audio of LeBron James talking to his child? Why did that catch your eye?
Because he's talking to his younger son, Bryce. So this is not LeBron Jr., but Bryce is visibly upset, and it's LeBron talking to him after a basketball game, telling him that he made the 3 most important plays of the game.
Okay.
And it's important to me because I think we forget sometimes that athletes are like humans, and they don't just like go into the locker room and shut down until the next game. And seeing LeBron be outside of basketball and being a parent is really, really cool. And I think what he says here is super valuable.
Here's LeBron James talking to his son, Bryce.
Listen, come sit down real quick. You made 3 of the biggest plays of the game. You want me to tell you what they were? And you get too down on yourself for no reason. You made 3 of the biggest plays of the game. You got the offensive rebound, right? Down 4, you got the offensive rebound, got the tip in, right? And then you had the outlet pass to Owen when he got the and 1. And then you made the last swing to him for the game winner. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you missing shots or making shots, don't worry about it, kid. You played a hell of a game. You ain't got to worry about making shots or missing shots. All right? Good job. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man. All right, go with your team. Bye. Good job.
You know, it'd be an awesome story is, LeBron's probably he's gonna own a team if he wants to. He's got enough money. Who knows what he's gonna do in his post-career? How cool would it be if LeBron just decided to like coach junior high basketball for like 5 years?
That'd be so cool.
Wouldn't that be great?
He's like, I'm just taking this team in LA or Akron or wherever.
It'd probably be Akron, but wherever. Maybe he just started like he took 2 years per school and he donated to the school and fixed up their stuff. He'd go from school to school, helping with their facilities, coaching their kids. Then he moves on to another school and he spends the first 10 years of his post NBA career.
Well, it's really cool seeing him in this setting where he is notorious for making the right basketball play.
Right.
And that's a big knock people actually have on him is he would rather pass it to the open guy in the last second than take a contested shot in the last second. And to see him talk basketball with a child and break it down in those terms where he's not like, hey, go be great at basketball. He's like, you are great because you did these small things.
Right.
You did the things like grab an offensive rebound and make an outlet pass. These little things that go overlooked. He's instilling that very early in a young basketball player, whether that's his son or not. I think that's a really important thing that he recognizes that's important.
From the 916, dude, he was mic'd up for it. It's a setup meant for exactly this. You'd have played on the radio. Blank me. It was on the early Today show this morning too. I don't want to get it. I just wanted to read it. Just imagine going through life like that. Like,
imagine, right.
Right.
Like when LeBron doesn't have a mic on, he's yelling at his kid, why did you score 40?
You gotta want it, moron. You'll never be brawny. One last note on that quote. How great is it? How stoked is Owen this morning?
Oh, yeah.
Whoever that Owen kid is on the team got shouted out by LeBron. How stoked is he?
Okay. How old is Bryce? He's probably 12.
Sure.
So let's say in 8 years from now, so 2026, there's a national NBA game and Owen is playing in
it.
And this clip gets shown ad nauseum. Remember the Owen from this LeBron James?
Yeah. Owen Franklin, first round pick by the Bucks. Remember that Owen? This was
you
that
might
Owen.
Remember Owen.
You're right. One more thing. George Kittle is a Pro Bowler. George Kittle found out he was a Pro Bowler, and
based on how he celebrated, I am also a Pro Bowler.
He did he hit the club? Did he hit the bar, get bottle service?
No.
Did he back that ass up Did he be clubbing with Ice Cube and friends?
He did none of those things.
What I would be doing. No, what did George Kittle do to celebrate his first Pro Bowl, Kyle?
He ordered a bunch of Chinese food and watched Netflix at home.
Atta baby. That's the way to go.
That's my ideal Friday night.
Right? I'm in the Pro Bowl. Pass me that egg foo young. Give me some of that mushu pork.
I get that he's got like a game to focus on and practice to get ready for, and I'm, sure it's week 15, week 16, he's banged up and he's trying to rehab as much as possible. I just think that's awesome.
I also want to just shout out Chinese food. I really and I want to be really clear. I want to shout out American Chinese food.
Right.
I went to China. I ate the food over there. I lost double digits in pounds when I went over there because I'm dumb, stupid American who couldn't handle it. I want to shout out. I don't want to offend anybody who's like, it's not Chinese food. I'm sure you're right.
Absolutely correct.
I want to shout out the Chinese food that I have experienced really, truly, and maybe we'll get into this tomorrow. If you were to take all ethnic food categories and decide what ethnic food is the king of foods that you could live on for the rest of your life, I could make serious play at Chinese food.
I think so. I think for me it'd be Mexican food, but we can debate tomorrow.
Japanese food, you've got the whole
really
sushi
good.
situation
Really
there,
good.
which is near and dear. Mexican food, obviously, probably your number one seed. Chinese food. Don't count out Italian food, by the way, especially if you're
Indian food.
Especially if you're. We got a break, but I will say on Indian food is the Radiohead of food to me, and what I mean by that, and we'll go to break, is very simple. 20%. Okay, well, for Radiohead, it's 10% of their songs I love are fantastic. Give me some Karma Police, Fake Plastic Trees. Give me Optimistic off of Kid A. Blah blah blah. The rest of it I can't stand. It hurt. It makes my ears bleed.
Fascinating.
Same thing with Indian food, but I would put it more at like 30.
Indian food makes your ears bleed?
I would say 30. No, it doesn't make my ears bleed. I would say 30% of Indian food I adore. I love. I mean, I'm using the word love here, but then like the other 70% I've tried, I'm like, no. It doesn't, I don't react to, like Sean Connery doesn't react too well to bullets. I don't react too well to that other 70%.
Sure.
But God, that 30% is amazing. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll take a break. When we come back, 4 down territory. We'll do some of that football stuff. And then coming up at 7:35, the Kings in Oklahoma City. We've got Willie Cauley-Stein's comments after the game that became very controversial on Twitter. We'll let you decide if they're actually controversial. And I'll play audio that Kyle was nice enough to clean up of a fan wrapped with his face wrapped in a bandana sending myself and Grant Napier a video message professing his hatred for the Sacramento Kings.
And then we're going to look at this guy's Twitter timeline and analyze why he hates the Kings.
I'm putting it on there because it ties back to something we talked about earlier this week and how things are a-changing in the sports world. We'll break and come back with 4 down territory on Sports 1140 KHTK. 4 down territory. Brought to you by Fire Wings. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com. Just wing it. Kyle Madsen in the Kyle Madsen studio, which you can see online. You can see online on the live video cast at KHTK.com. You can see Kyle, myself, and so much more. It's like the show, but better.
You can see my awesome Montreal Expos hat.
It's amazing.
With the fake 1994 World Series patch on the side.
Does it?
Yeah.
Atta babe.
It's called the What If hat.
They would have gone, would have happened. It's all brought to you by Jiffy Lube and our good friends over at the Sacramento Republic. Question number 1.
Who is the NFL MVP if the season ends right now?
Probably Drew Brees still. Yeah.
I think it's Patrick Mahomes.
You do?
Yeah.
Why?
Because Drew Brees, a lot of MVP is narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Drew Brees has kind of that Lifetime Achievement Award bit going for him. but his struggles the last 3 weeks have been pretty glaring. He hasn't thrown for over, I think it's 205 or 210 yards in the last 3 weeks, whereas Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs continue to tear it up.
So you think that Patrick Mahomes has passed Drew Brees as of right now?
Yeah, I'm not sure he was ever that far behind him.
I don't think he was either. I think it was kind of 1-2.
And so I think Brees' recent struggles have put Patrick Mahomes ahead of him in the, at the very least, in the narrative category.
Okay, I want to read you some stats.
Please.
I'm going to do what you do. Player A, but there's no player B. Player A, 26 of 38, 313, 2 touchdowns. Week before, 19 of 29, 220, and a touchdown. Week before that, 26 of 36, 299, 2 touchdowns. 28 of 29, that should give it away the week before that, 3 touchdowns. It's like Phil Rivers should have, and I call him Phil, a lot of the narrative Drew Brees has. Not all of it. He has not had Drew Brees' career, but he's had a sparkling, at times, career. And he also has the second best record in the league. Should Phillip Rivers be in that conversation?
Yeah.
Should it be a 3-person conversation between Rivers, Brees, and Mahomes?
Yeah, I think so. And I think if the Chargers wind up winning the division, I think you'll see Rivers jump in front.
If the if the LA Chargers win out, should Phillip Rivers? I guess that depends on what everybody else does, doesn't it?
Yeah, because if the Chiefs go up into Seattle and hang a 50 spot on Seattle with Mahomes throwing 6 touchdowns, that drastically changes things. But if he struggles up in Seattle and Rivers and the Chargers continue to dominate, then yeah, I absolutely think he'll be in the conversation.
Phillip Rivers has a home game against Baltimore and a road game against the Broncos to finish out the year. The Chargers winning out is a complete and total possibility. In fact, it's I would say, a probability. They'll be favored in both those games.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, second down.
Second down.
Okay, so we just talked about this a little bit, but you think Phillip Rivers is the MVP if the season ends today?
I like I said when I asked you the question, it's unfair for me to say that because Phillip Rivers and the Chargers could win out, and let's even go further and say he throws for 350 and 3 touchdowns in both games. Okay, well, if Patrick Mahomes goes for 450 and 6 touchdowns in both games, that's a moot point. If Drew Brees does something similar, then no.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was getting at. The question is, what has to happen for someone else to win it? That was assuming we would come to a consensus.
Sure.
So basically, whoever performs the best over these final 2 games, you think?
I think so. I think
it?
it's a 3-person race. I personally have it Brees a hair ahead of Mahomes, but I'm not mad at you for saying it the other way around. I could completely say that.
That'd be a weird thing to be mad at me about.
Kyle, I'm not talking to you the rest of these. And then I have Rivers probably third with a bigger space between him and those top 2 than between the top 2 themselves. What I will say is this. I think Brees probably controls his own destiny the most. I think Mahomes can certainly make a statement. I think Rivers probably needs some help from those 2 guys unless he just goes insane.
Right.
But I do think in reality it's probably a 2-person race right now. And just real quick, I want to check. New Orleans, we talked about Seattle for the Chiefs. New Orleans finishes with home games against the Steelers and the Panthers. That's nothing to shake a stick at. So if Drew Brees goes and throttles both teams, which he just put up 12 points against the Panthers in Carolina, that could change. But yeah,
it's a lot different in the dome.
When you and do we know who is it? It's Seattle. Who's the other team from? Is it Oakland?
No.
Seattle and let me find it here. It's Seattle and for the Chiefs. Seattle and no, it is Oakland. It's Seattle.
It is?
And then,
they played them twice?
They finished. They've
only played them once.
They played them once. That was the 40-33 in Oakland. Yeah. They finish at Arrowhead on the 30th. Okay. I dare I say, schedule wise, Mahomes is probably in the lead. If I'm looking at that.
Sure.
So that's a long-winded answer. That's what I think has to happen.
Okay.
Number 3.
Third down.
All right, got to go quick here. How many wins do the Raiders finish with? They have 3.
The Raiders, the remaining games they have the Kansas City Chiefs and they have the Denver Broncos. That game is at home versus Denver. It's either going to be 3 or 4. And it's that Broncos game. That's an AFC West game. The Broncos just lost to San Francisco in Santa Clara. I don't see why they wouldn't lose to Oakland. I'm going to say
they lost to the Browns at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Raiders the benefit of the doubt. I think they're going to split these last 2 games. I think they're going to finish with 4. I'll say that.
I would have said that. I would have said they split the last 2 games had they performed better against Cincinnati.
Maybe their last game in Oakland, all the emotion, just Christmas Eve, Broncos.
Broncos are kind of checked out.
I got to give them that win. I think they're going to be. In fact, I'm going to go a step further. Not only do I think they're going to beat the Broncos, I think they're going to blow the Broncos out. I think that's going to be a game where all the emotion comes into play on the field, and they're going to do everything they can to send out the home fans with a win.
Okay. That's fair.
That turned
I can
you around?
rock with that. Yep.
Fourth down.
Fourth down.
How many wins do the
4?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, the 49ers, it's how many wins do the 49ers finish with?
4.
They finish at home against the Bears, who are still playing for stuff, and then on the road against the Rams, who are going to be playing for stuff.
You're talking about 2, in whatever order you want to put it, 2 of the top 3 teams in the NFC and 2 of the top 5 teams, without a doubt, in the NFL. Yeah.
The 49ers have looked better the last couple weeks.
Sure.
I think they're going to get knocked back down to earth quite a bit.
Yeah.
After an emotional win against the Seahawks, they have to face the Bears, and then they have to go to L.A.
Yeah.
They might finish with 3 wins because of how badly they get
They have 4 wins currently. They might minus a win between now and then. See a couple of you guys on the phone lines at 339-1140 that have been holding, 47 and 32 minutes. My goodness. We'll get to you as soon as we start the next segment. If you've been waiting to get your call in at 1-800-920-1140, now's the time. We will be talking Kings and Thunder in the next segment. Also, in addition to that, we will have we'll talk quite a bit about Willie Cauley-Stein's post-game comments. You're going to want to hear these. I want to present 2 sides of the argument and figure out whether or not we should be upset with Willie for saying what he said. Also, I will play a video sent to me and Grant, or Grant and I, last night on Twitter from a disgruntled fan that is done with the sorry-ass Sacramento Kings.
Unconfirmed that it's a Kings fan, by the way.
That's a great point right there. I'll let you decipher that audio as well. So we have some fun audio for you next, and what I'm sure will be rousing discussion right here at Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Kings have now lost 2 in a row after falling 132-113 to the Oklahoma City Thunder last night at the Golden One Center. Buddy Hield poured in a career-high 37 points, while De'Aaron Fox posted a double-double with 28 points and 12 assists. Problem is the rest of the Kings only combined for 48 points in the loss. Sacramento's off tonight. They welcome in the Memphis Grizzlies to Golden One Center tomorrow. The NBA also announced today that the Kings and Pacers will become the first NBA teams to play games in India. The teams will play 2 preseason games in Mumbai on October 4th and 5th, 2019 at the NSCI Dome. The games will be the first ever played in the country by a North American sports league. And ESPN is reporting that Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen will play Sunday against the Ravens. Allen missed most of LA's last game with a hip injury, but he was back in practice yesterday at 7:34. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Now back to The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
It's The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Somebody on the text line at 441140, brought to you by Jiffy Lube, is making an impassioned plea for Matt Ryan in the MVP conversation. Matt Ryan, 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Drew Brees, 3,666 yards, 1 more touchdown, 1 less interception. The difference there is record. It's just not going to be a conversation. You're not going to look at a team like Atlanta and their record, and then a team like Drew Brees and his record. When the stats are all the same, that's where they're going to go. Plus, Drew Brees has that old man narrative going for him too.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan's been good. Like, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But he's not in the MVP conversation.
No, he is not.
Sorry, Falcons fan.
Is it fair to say it's a 3-person race?
Yes.
At this point, there is no time for anyone else to win it.
What's the guy on Fuzzy Bear? Warden Bear on Twitter says Aaron Donald's the NFL's MVP, but sports writers are too intellectually lazy to give it to him. The quarterback with the best stats from a top 5 team. How original. Sounds like the Heisman Trophy.
Listen, I'm not.
It's the most important position on the field, man.
I'm not immune to what they're saying. I understand that Aaron Donald, you could argue that Aaron Donald's the most dominant player in the NFL.
He absolutely is.
And Aaron Donald is ridiculously important.
Yes.
But as you said,
and if it's best football player, then sure.
Sure. But it's most valuable player.
And the value a quarterback holds so much more weight than any other position on the field. You could, I guess, argue a pass rusher, like an Aaron Donald or a Khalil Mack, but the quarterback, you have to really dominate at one of those positions.
Yeah, and they do. I mean, Aaron Donald's very dominant in his position, but take Drew Brees.
He would need to have like 35 sacks.
Exactly.
Like that kind of impact.
When you default in arguments, and it's a pie chart really, but when you default the different arguments and tiebreakers for MVP, one thing you look at it, take Brees, take Mahomes, take Rivers off of their teams, and give them an average replacement player. As you kids say in baseball, the VORP, the value over the replacement player, and then take Aaron Donald.
That's NBA, but
I thought it was that's not used in baseball too.
It might be.
I can't keep up with you. But anyways, you take Aaron Donald off and put him with the average replacement player. There's certainly going to be a drop-off with Aaron Donald. Please don't misunderstand. But I don't think it's going to be the same as with those 3 players, especially in a quarterback-driven league, which is where we're at right now. All right. Where do we got a lot to get to in this segment, so let's just get right to it. I want to start out, Kyle, with, Twitter has just been a trash fire. People say, why don't you just log off? Why don't you not look at it? Well, because I feel like it's part of my job. And I do enjoy a lot of it, and I do feed off of a lot of it. It's a way for Kings fans to stay connected during the game, almost like we're watching the game with each other. So it's not all bad. But it's just been just a trash fire over the last 2-3 games, ever since the Minnesota game. And I got a video sent to me last night from a fan. It was sent to Grant Napier, and I think Jason Ross, too. From a fan in a Raiders bandana and hat, and the bandana was covering all but his eyes. So you couldn't see who he was, and I'm fine with that. But he sent us this audio, and I'm playing it, and we'll discuss after the audio plays, because I actually think it's something we talked about earlier this week that's, I think, quite important when we're looking at the future of sports. Here you go.
This is that bull, Grant. Carmichael Dave, you know the business. You know how it is. The sorry-ass Kings. -11 by OKC in the fourth quarter. And they still couldn't cover that 11 points. Kings +5 and they still couldn't do it. Get out of here with that shit. I'm one pissed off listener, man. The Kings, I don't want to hear about Jaeger benching. None of that player. The Minnesota game was messed up. And this damn game is straight up bull. Couldn't even keep it close. They got blown by OKC. What kind of shit is that? I no longer support a sorry-ass Kings.
All right. Let's break down what he said.
Can we first break down the speaker?
Sure, please do.
On Twitter, he's Cali Raider for life.
All right, let me see here. Do I have? Oh, where's all my stuff? I used to have a ton of this stuff. Let's welcome in our speaker that you just heard, Kyle Madsen, in the Kyle Madsen Sports Desk.
Yep.
Is going to tell us all about who just got really, really angry on the internet. Go, Kyle.
It's Cali Raider for life. His Twitter bio says high-stake professional sports gambler, CEO. His pinned tweet is a tweet to Deion Sanders talking about the betting industry and how it's big business for the NFL. His first tweet is about the NBA. So Celtics losing to Phoenix Suns, money line, Phoenix Suns +700, Celtics -12. Who would have thought that? Don't let the NBA fool you. The bookies always win. And his timeline is just all different betting.
It's a lot of betting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was his Twitter handle again?
Cali Raider for life.
Cali Raider for life. All right.
His location is Cokeland, California.
Cokeland.
Big Coca-Cola fan.
Big soft drink fan. Okay. So, thank you.
I love this guy.
Thank you, Cali Raider for life. Here's why that's prevalent. I enjoy, excuse me, if it was appropriate, I would certainly enjoy sports wagering. I certainly would. And if it was appropriate, I would wager from time to time. If it was appropriate, I would have wagered.
If it was appropriate.
If it was appropriate, I would have wagered last night, and I would have wagered early and often on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who at the end of yesterday's show were minus 5.5. For those of you who are not bettors, that means the Thunder would have to win by 6 points or more for you to win your bet. I would have wagered on Oklahoma City. I would have also wagered on the freaking Warriors at the half versus the Jazz minus 1.5 when they were tied at 66. And they
Warriors in Utah's a death knell, dude.
They would have lost me some money last night had I wagered. Anyways, wagering can be fun when you do it as a hobby. My suggestion, and don't take it from me, if you're ever going to wager, take the money that you'd spend at the bar, use that and deposit it in whatever account you're going to put in. And if you make money, great. And if you lose money, well, have a date set aside ahead of time. Next football season, that's the next time you're going to deposit. Wager within your means. What's going on with that guy and so many others? They're trying to make a living, and some people do. But then you get a guy, he wasn't pissed that the Kings lost. He was pissed that he lost his bet on the Kings.
Right.
And that's not bad. I'm not interested in whether you make or lose money. I'm interested in if you're a Kings fan or not.
Right.
And that's where we can have a conversation. That's not being a Kings fan, but that's where a lot of sports, you're going to start seeing, Kyle, at games in the next couple years. You will start hearing the crowd reacting, and people and not in the know will be like, well, that's weird that the game's in hand. The Kings just went up by 11. Why is was there free jumbo jacks?
Hey, and I'm predicting within 10 years, there's going to be a point spread bug on the scoreboard.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're going to have your real score, and then you're going to have the 49ers were plus 5. Here's the score of the game based on the line.
You're going to have announcers acknowledging it. Brent Musburger had done that for years. Al Michaels has made comments about that before. But I completely agree with you. You're going to have that bug. Scott Van Pelt has been doing it now on his late night sports center. It's going to be a thing, and I think it's going to frustrate a lot of fans who aren't involved in betting and don't care. They're going to wonder why so many people are walking around pissed off that the Kings, they're going to be at Golden One Center, and the Kings are going to win a game by 5. And you're going to see a decent-sized group of fans walking around pissed and punching the wall. And fans are going to go, dude, you're wearing Kings gear. They just won. Yeah, the line was 6.5, man. They can't even cover that. They're sorry-ass losers. I'm a CEO. I'm a CEO.
A wise man once told me not to bet because it's bad. But he said, if you do, never bet more than you can afford to lose.
Yes. I just kind of said that at the beginning of the segment.
Right.
Am I the wise man you're talking about?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was just putting it in different.
Another wise man? Okay.
And, yeah, like you said, it's going to be fascinating watching this and watching how this plays out, because we have seen multiple teams, I'm sure, but the team I pay attention to, the Warriors, we've seen them leading games by like let's say the point spread is 12. We've seen them leading by 20 with 6 minutes to go and just cruising, and they wind up winning by 8.
Yep.
And that is going to, it's an 8-point win. They blew the team out, but we're going to see a dramatically more negative reaction to that.
Absolutely.
And I'm really interested to see how this all plays out.
From the 530 on the Jiffy Lube text line at 441140. How long before I can place a bet at halftime at a kiosk at the arena? That's not going to be that far away, but I'll tell you right now, you can go on your phone, and there are websites out there. You can go on your phone right now. You can be sitting at Golden One Center, and you can make a bet in the fourth quarter on whether or not the Kings are going to lose by, let's say they're down 8. You can go on there and find the live line And you can bet as to whether or not they're going to lose by 8 or win by 8 or whatever the line is. You can do that with 4 minutes left in the game.
By the way, 1-800-GAMBLER.
1-800-GAMBLER.
Shout out to the 916 for that reminder.
Right, exactly. You're going to get, the bottom line is, and we'll move on, you're going to get a lot of people excited about sports gambling, just like people were super excited about Bitcoin or many other things that sweep the nation. And they're going to go, I know sports.
Yep.
I know, I can make some money, dude.
My brother, Flyo Madsen, he not a sports fan like whatsoever, got super into the NFL for a few years because of fantasy football. Mm-hmm. You're going to start seeing a ton of people like that.
You absolutely will. And in some cases, it'll be great. It'll help the sport. People will have more interest. But I think more often than not only are you going to have issues like that, they're going to be super annoying. You're going to have fans. It's one thing when your team loses. It's another thing when your team loses and you got to come up with your mortgage payment. And that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a massive, by the way, you're going to see a massive point shaving scandal. I can promise you in the next 5 years, you're going to have a giant gambling scandal come out because of the prevalence and the amount of money involved that's going in.
And every time a player plays poorly, that's the first thing that's going to come up.
Yep. Willie Cauley-Stein played 32 minutes last night. He had 7 rebounds and 13 points. He did not block a shot. Steven Adams had 20 points and 23 rebounds. Russell Westbrook had 11. Paul George had 12 rebounds. As a matter of fact, of everybody on the team, Willie Cauley-Stein did have a team-high 7 boards. Justin Jackson had 6. Nemanja Bjelica had 6. Buddy Hield had 6. Troy Williams had 5 in 19 minutes. This has been something with Willie, who has had double-digit games in rebounds before. But this has been an issue with Willie Cauley-Stein with fans before. Rebounding, blocking shots, playing defense. And he also has quotes on the record, and one in particular we'll remember from before the season, where he's seemingly very focused on his contract and what that means and what he wants. He wants to get paid. He wants to get that bag. He wants to be, $100 million. You can look at his Twitter feed, and he's posting pictures about Lamborghinis and blah, blah, blah. And guess what? That's okay. I have no problems with a player wanting to get paid and buy whatever car he or she wants. That is fine.
Get your money.
Get your freaking money and make it happen, Cap.
And that goes for everybody in every profession.
Last night, Steven Adams had all those rebounds. Willie Cauley-Stein did not. And after the game, many, including our very own Matt George, had the following quotes from Willie Cauley-Stein. Now, Kyle, I'm going to read you the quote, and then I'm going to play you the audio of him talking.
Okay.
Because I want to know if you think that there's a difference between reading the quote and hearing the quote.
Absolutely.
Willie Cauley-Stein last night, when asked about the tremendous rebounding of Steven Adams and then before Steven Adams, DeAndre Jordan in Dallas, quote, "They get paid $100 million to do that. So if they're not doing that, you're looking at them different. Y'all get paid $100 million to rebound and block shots. Me looking in on that, that's big time. Steven Adams is a hell of a player. So me playing against him and he's doing that, like that gives you like, he gets $100 million to do that? All right, bet." That's a quote. I saw that quote and I quote tweeted and I said, bye, Willie. I have maintained since the start of the year that Willie Cauley-Stein will not be here next year. And in fact, if I was Vlade Divac, I would probably look to move him at the All-Star break or before to get some value out of him. I'm always a fan of getting value rather than letting a guy walk for nothing. Now, they can give him a qualifying offer. I like Willie as a person. I have no reason not to. I don't know him, but I've never had any issues. He seems like a sweet guy. He seems like a thoughtful dude.
Yeah.
Maybe too thoughtful. I've never questioned his work ethic off the court. And I've said this before and I get laughed at. I think Willie Cauley-Stein has all-star talent. Literally all-star talent.
He does.
I think he has the ability to be an all-star. But the question has always been his motor on defense, his hustle on defense, his ability to box out and rebound, and his seeming inconsistency on the floor from one game to the next. So that's his quote on paper. Here's what it sounded like, because I think context, or at least tone, is very important.
I mean, they get paid $100 million to do that. So if they're not doing that, you're looking at them different. Yeah, I get paid $100 million to rebound and block shots. So me looking in on that, that's big time. Steven's a hell of a player, so me playing against him and he's doing that, like that gives you he gets $100 million to do that. All right, bet.
Any difference to you?
Yeah, a little bit for sure.
In what way?
It seems more like, because when you read it, it sounds like Willie is saying, "Oh, I have to try harder to get $100 million.
Pay me $100 million, I'll rebound like that."
Right. But when you listen to it, it sounds like he's saying, to me, like, "Oh, it makes sense. Like, look how good this guy is. Like, he's earned that."
That's why they're getting $100 million,
right?
Because they're so damn good at that part of their game,
right? And that could easily be
misconstrued.
Yeah, for sure. And it could easily be, you could see that finishing with like, I've got to improve that area of my game to get to that level.
Sure.
That's how it sounded to me.
I'm split. I really am. I was very upset at that last night, and I think it's only fair to call yourself on something, especially when you have a chance to calm down. I on one hand, I look at Willie, and I think about you could be so much more. But then I go, you know what? He's in his fourth year. He's improved every single year, and maybe that's some of the trade-off. I don't know that there's a better rim runner in this game right now than Willie Cauley-Stein, and if there is, it's maybe one or two guys, DeAndre Jordan being one of them. And just because we think Willie can do more doesn't necessarily mean he can do more. He looks at things a little bit differently than we are. He's motivated by money, and if we're being honest, more athletes than you think are motivated by money. They just don't see it. But it is not a good look when you just got blown out and you got out-hustled. And let's just be clear. Steven Adams treated Willie Cauley-Stein like a child last night. It was just tough to watch. He threw him all around the court. And to be fair to Willie, Steven Adams treats a lot of centers in this league like children because Steven Adams is Aquaman. Steven Adams is a superhero. By the way, only 25. Maybe the king of our older-than-they-are team.
You mean younger than they look?
That, thank you. The opposite of what I just said. And maybe with Willie just does not care about anything other than, if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you an honest answer. You guys want honest answers, and you don't want cookie-cutter statements, and that's what I'm going to give you. But I put it on, I think, the people that are around Willie. Again, I don't know them. But I know this. You can say what you want about DeMarcus Cousins, and I don't want to go down that road. But here's one thing I do know for a fact, and even his staunchest haters, if they have any knowledge of it, will agree with. DeMarcus Cousins surrounded himself with people that are absolutely amazing, who care about him, who are smart, and who get it, most of which he's brought from college with him. And I love those guys. They're phenomenal. I've gotten to know them, and I sing their praises all the time. I don't know who Willie has around him, but I hope somebody around him will say, dude, listen, we know you're not malicious in your heart, but sometimes what you say gets taken out of context or it just turns fans off, especially in a blue-collar town like Sacramento. And you can say, I don't care. I'm not going to be fake. I'm going to be real. I'm going to do what fine. But if you're motivated by money, those are the comments that are going to cost you tens of millions of dollars. Fact. There are other GMs, including our own, that are sitting around going, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this guy, man. He is a maybe not $100 million player, but he's certainly a $70, $80, $90 million player talent-wise. But once he gets paid, what the hell's happening to this dude? Can I trust that I'm going to invest 4 years and $80 million in this guy? Right. And I'm getting $80 million in talent, but am I going to get $80 million in work ethic and execution? Right. Nah, I don't think so. I'm telling you right now, Willie Cauley-Stein's statements, the combination of them, they're going to end up costing him probably $30 or $40 million on the open market. And that's what somebody needs to tell him. Dude, we appreciate you're trying to be real. We appreciate that you're almost, it's not naive, because he's a very smart guy.
Right.
He really is. Willie's a smart dude. But PR-wise, which is important in this league, bro, know the room. Know what you're doing. And after you get just dragged by Steven Adams, if you get tooled by Steven Adams, maybe let's not throw salaries in there, and let's not let anybody pull that out, whether they're right or wrong. And it certainly does sound like, from one point of view, you're saying, pay me $100 million, I'll do that.
Right.
From a guy who in the past has said he sometimes does not hustle for rebounds or block shots. He's afraid of getting injured, who before this season was talking nothing about getting that bag and getting paid and getting money. That's not how it works. You're not winning any fans over. And what is it Gladiator said? With the fans come the crowd, or you win the mob, you win the thing.
Sure.
Sam Amick will join us next. I want to ask him about this. I also want to ask him about sports betting a little bit. And let's go around the NBA. LeBron's comments about Anthony Davis, the Kings themselves. We got a lot to talk to old Samuel about of The Athletic, and he's going to join us next right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.